for.
Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, September the 5th, 2017. The entire board being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in prayer.
Thank you, Judge. Let us pray. Father God, we give you thanks for another great day that you've given us. Lord, we continue to pray for all those families in the Houston area, Lord, all the lives that were lost, the families, we continue to lift them up, to watch over them, to give them peace, Lord. Help all the responders, everyone that is helping to restore that area, Lord. Give them strength for the continued restoration that's going to take place, Lord. Know that you are there with them, Lord. We continue to pray for them. We continue to pray for this elected body that you've appointed, Lord, this judge and four commissioners, Lord. Give them wisdom, Lord, your understanding as to make decisions that affect us all, Lord. And more importantly, Lord, also give them your peace, Lord, as to make those great decisions, Lord. Just continue to apply the same wisdom and understanding to myself, my staff, Lord, and all those great leaders of our county. And continue to be with us, Lord, as we continue to do what is best for our great county, Lord. I ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Under open forum, did anyone sign up?
Yes, sir. We do have one participant, Ms. Virginia Townsend. I will remind everybody in the audience to please respect the speaker's time at the podium. 3-minute time limit. I will advise when there's 1 minute left.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Townsend.
I was not here 2 weeks ago whenever you all, I guess, you adopted the new subdivision rules. I've asked for a copy. I have not gotten them yet, but I have to tell you it's way up high on my list. I hope that the subdivision rules are stronger now, better. I hope we never allow developers to come in and develop low-lying areas, sell the lots, have the people pay for them, and then get stuck in low-lying areas, and the county has to get them out some way or another. So it ends up always the taxpayers holding the burden. I don't know what the new subdivision rules have, but I know we've fought this for many, many years, and we go up and we get it okayed, and people are listening and saying, yes, we agree with you, you need stronger rules. And then the developers come right behind us, and they are paid lobbyists, and they are there for the long term, and they work on the legislators until they get their rules in, and not for our benefit at all. So I don't know. I have not studied them yet, but I do hope you all adopted some kind of strong subdivision rules for our county, for the good of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any concerns with the consent agenda?
No, Judge, we don't have any concerns today.
Motion approved. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Item 5, presentation accepts the independent audit report for the year ending December 31st, 2016. Ms. Burton, Montgomery, and Cortez, I guess, are presenting the budget for the audit for the year, and I'll have Mr. Longoria come and make a presentation.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I know Raul mentioned the budget. We're not presenting the budget today. we are here to present the annual audit report for the Drainage District. For the record, my name is Ricky Longoria. I'm managing partner at Burton, Montgomery, and Cortez. With me here today, I do have Adele Felix. She's an audit manager with the firm CPA and the CFE. She was the auditor who directly oversaw the audit of the Drainage District, so she'll be making the actual presentation. I do want to preface her presentation with just a comment, and that is we've obviously here today to present this audit. We have finished a county audit as well. We are reaching out to you all, to each of your offices, to see if you would like to go over the audits in more detail. Certainly in this forum, it's kind of hard to go over 300-page reports or 200-page reports in any real detail. But certainly, I'd ask you all to take advantage of the time. We will make ourselves available to you all. And again, we can go over any of your questions, concerns, or thoughts about the audit process as it relates to not only the Drainage District, but also the County of Hidalgo. Also, too, I just want to thank you all for what you do. I will say, after seeing Harvey and what it's done to Houston, and I know it's very hard to plan for something that happens every 500 years, but it also, to me, as an auditor, kind of makes you appreciate the importance of the decisions that you all make with respect to drainage in the county. And you really don't appreciate it until something bad happens. So I just want to thank you all for what you do in that regard. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Adele Felix make the presentation.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Again, I'm Adele Felix. I'm an audit manager with BMC, and I'm here to present the December 31st, 2016 audit report. In front of you, you should have 3 documents. You should have our bounded report, as well as 2 documents. One is signed in the front, and these are our comments and recommendations, including management's responses that we recommend be addressed this year, and a governance letter, which I will begin with that letter. It's dated on the top August 28th. Okay, this is required communication that we must have with the governing body. I'm just going to highlight a few things. Professional standards require that we provide you with information about our responsibilities under generally accepted auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. And you should be aware of a few items where the significant accounting policies used by the district are noted in Note A to the financial statements, as well as accounting estimates are used to prepare these statements, and they are based on management's knowledge and experience about the past and current events. And the most significant accounting estimates are the following. Allowance for uncollectible taxes, the net pension liability for the Texas County and District Retirement System, as well as the useful lives of fixed assets and related depreciation. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit. Fieldwork did begin a little later than originally planned, and if given the opportunity, we will meet with management of the district to better coordinate the completion of the audit. On the next page, corrected and uncorrected misstatements. All adjustments that were noted have been posted and are reflected on the financial statements we are presenting today. Disagreements with management. We always have discussions throughout the audit process, but nothing to the extent of a disagreement. And to confirm to you that we did receive a signed management letter from management dated August 28, 2017. Management consultations with other independent accountants. This could be viewed as opinion shopping. You didn't like what we said, so you find somebody else who gives you a different opinion. To our knowledge, that did not happen or wasn't necessary. Okay. Now that's all I have for this letter. Unless there's any questions, I'll move on to the report.
No internal control issues.
On our recommendations, we noted a few items that we have already discussed with them, and they are addressing their internal controls related to that. Okay, you noticed our report. It's a little different. You're probably used to the green and gold. We now took a little bit of a modern twist. We're now slate gray. So, just something to notice. If you turn to page 11 of the audit report, this describes our responsibilities as auditors as well as management's responsibilities with respect to the financial statements. I'll highlight a few things. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of the district as of and for the year ended December 31st, 2016. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the USA, and includes the design, implementation, and maintenance of those controls. And our responsibility is to express an opinion on these statements and to confirm to you that we did perform our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, as well as government auditing standards. The next page is our opinion. At the very top, in our opinion, the financial statements we referred to above are presented fairly in all material respects as of December 31st, 2016. This is an unmodified opinion, which many interpret as a clean opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we could give. Okay, if you go to page 23. This is a statement of net position. It's a snapshot of the district at December 31st. we'll see that total assets are $246 million, which is an increase of $4 million. And that's mostly due to the capital assets of 142. There was an increase of about 8.3, and mostly due to the construction in progress, increase of $7 million. And I will take this opportunity to mention that the Drainage District's website is up and running, which shows a listing of the current projects going on, of great detail. And I'll take that opportunity to also commend the district with their efforts to be more transparent with the public. Total liabilities is $161 million. It did decrease $2 million from prior year, and of that total is bonds of $152, which had a decrease of $4 million, which current payments and so forth. And a net position at the end is $9 million, an increase of $72 million, an increase of $9 million, and that's mostly invested in the capital assets as expected with the district. Turn to page 25. Last page, I promise. Under the general fund column, we have total fund balances of $21 million, which is comparative to prior year. There was a slight decrease of $800,000, and that's due to a couple of reasons. General fund revenue did decrease $5 million, and that's because in 2015 you did receive a grant for 5.6. That did not happen in 2016. However, they were just awarded a grant just recently in the past couple of days for 2017, and that will be reflected in the 2017 audit. And then expenditures did increase $2.5 million, and that's due to the more in-house projects that the district is taking on. So unassigned fund balance is 19.3, which exceeds the internal goal of 10%. But in light, which it's important to maintain that fund balance in light of what's currently going on in the area. One major disaster could wipe that out. It's just something to keep in mind. That's all I have in the report, unless there's any questions.
Leave it to the accountant, right? 10% fund balance, is that a government standard? Or
That is what the county has internally wants to keep the 10%. They do exceed it. But
is that 10% of total operations, or what exactly is it?
Expenses.
Okay. Then the other thing is, did you have any significant findings that require reporting or addressing?
No, not. Well, we did have two in our separate letter that we have. We did have two findings that we discussed with management, and they've included their response. Which one was related to the internal controls of some purchases, just stamping, and just to keep the process, follow the process that they currently have in place.
Okay. As a board or as a commission here, as board of the directors, is there anything that we have to address?
No.
It was all local to the
Yes.
drainage district itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, on the two management letter comments, again, going back just to the nature of them, to give you a flavor, as you know, everything's done on a test basis, and I think our sample sizes will range from 60 to 90 items that are randomly selected. There was one particular one, for example, where the invoice was paid, but the invoice itself was not stamped as paid. So what's the risk? The risk that it gets double paid. So there wasn't anything that would rise to the level of, say, of material weakness. So from that standpoint, what we like to do is monitor and ensure that whatever comments that we make, that those are one that they're conveyed not just via the letter, but via an exit conference. And certainly we had that exit conference last week. And then also making sure that by the time that we get back next year, that those are things that we're checking for, is that there's a proactive approach to trying to address management letter comments and stuff. And I will say this, I know that the district, in terms of being proactive, last year they took on the ethics training for all their employees, which is something that we like to see our clients do. And so all their employees came in and we did a whole ethics training for them in both English and Spanish. One of the things that we've been talking with Raul and his staff is in terms of transparency and making, giving the public a sense that they are trying to be as transparent and as responsible with respect to their financial reporting. The district has not really been proactive in trying to get the GFOA certificate as a means of showing folks that the financial statements that they're presenting to the public include all the things that you would expect from a GFOA's certified, if you will, report. And so what we've talked about is certainly this year that they would reach out to GFOA, submit their report, try to get their comments back, as they'll do a comment review, and then next year hopefully submit next year's report to GFOA so that they too can start earning the certificate of excellence as it pertains to financial reporting.
Do our audit reports and financials get published on the website, for transparency issues?
I don't. Have you all done that in the past?
No, we have not, but we will.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think probably more so now that,
Yeah,
that
no,
the
we have
website
the
is
website
up and running.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think,
We just
again,
initiated the website this year, so.
all right. Well, I think it would be a good section to possibly do some historicals there and let people see the historical part of the audit, and making sure, again, the fact that it's a clean audit, an unqualified opinion is as good as it gets. So it's good. It's something you should be proud of.
Right.
Thank you.
So we
Any
need
other questions?
Need motion for a move to approve?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. Again, we are making ourselves available. I know we have a couple of meetings scheduled already. So if you'd like to go over these in more detail, as well as the county, please let us know. Okay. Thank you all.
Item 6, I did say budget, I meant audit because I got ahead of myself. Item 6 is we'll talk a little bit about the budget. First public hearing on 2017 proposed tax rate of 0.0951 per $100 valuation. I guess we'll open up the public hearing. We have Mr. Villarreal here. Do we need to read anything to the record, brother, as far as? No, just the open public hearing. The first public hearing on what we're proposing to do, and I guess I'll start it off. I guess before we open up, just kind of give an overview. We don't have anything in summary prepared for you today. We will have it ready for the next board meeting. But as you heard right now in the audit, the district's doing well. We're proposing the 9.51 cent tax rate for a $100 valuation, which is the same rate that we currently have right now, staying with the same rate. We Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, I apologize. Okay. So, yes, we do need to open the public hearing then.
All right. At this time, we're going to be convening a public hearing on our 2017 proposed tax rate of 0.0951 per $100 valuation. Is there anyone here that desires to make any comments on this matter?
I just asked the tax collector, did it go up or anything, and so y'all need to explain maybe to the public that it is staying the same as it was last year. You're not raising, because a lot of people are thinking that it's going up.
Yes. As I stated, it's staying the same as last year. The current rate is not going up.
And Judge, Commissioners, or for the board, just for the record, that was Ms. Fern McClarity with respect to comments under public hearing.
Is there anyone else that desires to make any comments? And then at this time, we're going to close the public hearing.
Just for discussion purposes, I wanted to wait till after the hearing, but the auditor just reported that you were short on your expenses exceeded revenues last year because of the grant. Will your budget with the 0.0951 be in balance with respect to revenues matching expenses, or because of that grant that you just received, that'll help balance the budget? Can you just clarify that position?
We should be, yes, sir. I don't see us being short in any way based, I guess, on the numbers, and I guess our accountant can talk more about it. Ms. Briones, it's more of an accounting issue.
Commissioner, typically when we're processing or putting the budget together, we normally balance or budget expenses to the budgeted revenues. Last year was an exception because we budgeted in part of our fund balance for our administration building. This year we may have the same type of expenses, and it'll be for capital capitalized equipment. It's not going to be for any ongoing or expenditures that we have from year to year. Those will stay under the revenue portion of it.
Okay, thank you. So just
Yes.
your operating budget should be in balance with the tax rate that you're proposing?
Yes, sir.
If I may comment in the hearing here, one of the things that I guess the global change of what's happened with the district is the mere fact that they're doing a whole lot more maintenance and operation. You've acquired a lot of assets, and you're able to do a lot of capital improvement purchases through your existing fund. I know we talked about keeping the rate at the same because there's a lot of great things that are happening in regards to a lot of the success of garnering state funding, and I see our senator in the audience there, and just to commend him on the work that he's done with Water Development Board to assure that we get our fair share. To date, it's $9.5 million that you've made available, Senator, and all those monies are very, very critical in regards to a lot of the capital improvement planning that we've been doing in regards to construction, as we're going to see in the very near future. But I commend you for the work that you're doing. You're doing a lot more than we used to do at the same rate, and so it's just a form of commendation.
Thank you.
Agreed.
All right. Is any action needed?
No, sir.
Or it's only discussion? No.
Yes, sir. It was just in the public hearing itself, so you've already closed that. So
No, we're in the.
you closed it
discussion
already?
phase.
Oh, you're in the discussion. Okay. There's no action.
Just report the second public hearing will be.
Okay. And the second public hearing will be held September 19th, 2017, 9 a.m. here at the Dow County Commissioners Administration Building, 100 East Cano, Edinburgh, Texas. So we'll have the second public hearing now.
All right, sir. We're at item number 7. Roe.
Yes, sir. Discussion, Dow County Drainage District Number 1 projects, maintenance, and operations. Precinct 1, Precinct 2, Cesar Chavez Drain Phase 2. That's one of our projects currently that we're working. As a matter of fact, we have an item on the agenda to move some monies into that project. It's a partnership that we have with the City of Alamo, and we're working to expand our system east of Alamo Road all the way to our about a mile east of Tower Road. It's going to serve the area, the developments Cielo Lindo, Brenda Estates 2, PSJA Middle School, Villarreal subdivision, Eldora Acres, Sioux Estates 1 and 2, Isache Acres 9, North Alamo Village, Moulin Rouge Ranches, Los Niños Unit 2, and Sioux Road Phase 1 subdivision, but also rural areas that will be improved. We're also partnering with TxDOT to improve the crossings. They're going to be providing some material for those crossings. We'll be doing the work ourselves. Currently, we have 25 parcels identified. And out of those, we have 17 that we've agreed with the owners working on closing, and then we have 7 that are right now currently condemnation, and 1 that's pending. We're waiting on the landowner to provide some info, and if not, we may move that one to condemnation. So we're very actively pursuing the acquisition to move forward to construction. That project will be constructed by the district forces. So that's a big project that we have. It's a general improvement project. It's not a bond project. It's a general improvement project, but it's an aerial project that's going to benefit both Precinct 2, because Precinct 2 stops at Alamo Road. However, a lot of that drainage comes from the city of San Juan, Cesar Chavez Road area, Sioux Road, and ultimately ends into this system, which ultimately connects into our Alamo Lateral, which we already have widened all the way past Canson Road into our main drain. So it's a regional project. Item 2, Precinct 1 Chaparral drainage improvements. This one's located on the south side of Precinct 1, south of Donna. We've already conducted a crossing on Old River Road, improved that crossing so the precinct could plan their improvements of the road itself. We're working with TxDOT right now on the crossing of 493. We're looking at adding another 10x7 box there. TxDOT has already agreed to provide us with the material, the box itself. The district's going to be performing the actual crossing itself. And we have already installed triple 10x7 boxes at Victoria Road, which is a downstream road itself. And this is just a general improvement project. It does tie into our Donna IBWC structure, which is a bond project, and that's about 90% complete, so that outfall is improved already. So we're hoping in the next 2 to 3 months that whole area will be improved, and we're also removing the restriction of Soderquist Road on that same drain. So regional improvement for that area, and La Piñata is one of the developments. I think we've had some in the past, some residents that have come by, so a lot of that general improvement that we're doing is going to help that development itself, River Road subdivision as well, and in the general area as well, and benefit TxDOT with the new improvements at 493 that they're doing right now. So that's why they're partnering with us. And again, that's just a general improvement project that we're doing. And then the third one is the Texas Floodplain Management 2017 Fall Technical Summit. This past week, I attended the summit, and one of the main issues was floodplain management, obviously. The requirement of elevation certificates and flood zones, discussion of development in low-lying areas. And to answer the question earlier, we have not adopted the new rules. I think last time what we had was just a discussion with the board or / commissioners court. Mr. Arredondo made a presentation regarding the proposed rules. A lot of it does deal with drainage, but not everything. There's other components in the rules that they're proposing. We are looking at strengthening our rules, requirements up to the 25-year event, not allowing any type of development in low-lying areas, so basically improving and reinforcing that requirement that if it is a low-lying area, even though FEMA doesn't designate it as a flood zone, it still has to be evaluated as a flood zone to make sure that adequate drainage is provided, that it's not going to flood. So we are looking at that, and that is one of the proposals in the new rules that we're looking at. So we are strengthening our rules. We are making sure that we do provide the right type of system for our areas. So it was a good conference. A lot, obviously, with the event they had, there was a lot of talk about emergency response. We are working right now with the county to become part of the Master Mutual Aid agreement that the county currently has, so the district can assist quickly or quicker. We were ready to assist this time around. We're not unsure if we're going to be needed anymore, but we're ready and able to assist with manpower and equipment, and we're going to be looking at that mutual aid agreement to make sure that we can get included in that. That way, if any area in Texas needs our assistance and the county determines that it needs to send support, then we want to support those efforts and make sure the drainage district can also make personnel and equipment available. So we're working on that right now. Another topic is storm debris. Obviously, we keep telling people to make sure, they had a lot of presentation of storm debris and the effect it has, and obviously when we have a lot of illegal dumping, a lot of areas like that, it causes a lot of backup in our system. After an event comes in, you cannot see what's under there, so you're working in the dark. So we continue just to ask the public to make sure that don't do any illegal dumping and so forth, any trash, because it does cause a lot of problems during an event and after the event. So it was a good conference, good information. I just kind of wanted to brief the board on that.
Raul, in regards to 7C, just a question. You said that the new rules have not been adopted.
That is correct.
At what point will we be adopted? The reason I say that is, and you're saying up to a 25-year event. What we're seeing these days is beyond a 25-year event.
Correct.
We've seen a 100-year event. Houston's seen a 500-year event. And it's just in hopes that we don't see one of those events. We are still advocating that we improve the rules and somehow aid in preventing catastrophes such as flooding in these areas.
One of the main points in the rules, in my opinion, is to make sure you have a point discharge. What that means is that they make sure that developments have a way out into a ditch. Because even if you have a design of a 100-year event, if you don't have a point discharge, if you don't have something flowing positively out of that subdivision, you're going to be pumping. You're going to, and that's where our biggest, manpower and then the people suffer, because there's water and we have to move it via pump, and it's just not as efficient as it is when it's gravity flow. So one of the main things that I mentioned in the public or discussion that we had last time was we want to make sure that we continue the requirement of having a point discharge, that all development has an outfall to our system. we get an event like like Houston received, yes, we're going to be underwater, but the key is, if you look now at some of the photos and some of the stuff that in Houston, a lot of the water's receded. It's taken its time, but it's going out because they have outfalls. In our case, if we had something like that in some areas, we don't have outfalls. Obviously, we're going to be pumping for months. So, strongly recommend that we continue the course we've already taken, which is require the point discharge. Obviously, the event, the amount of water that an event brings, a 25, 50, or 100-year event, yes, it's obviously more for 100-year versus 25, but that's what we're looking at and evaluating. We have to start somewhere. So we are looking at those details, but the main, in my opinion, the main thing that we need to look at is to make sure that we have systems in place to take that water out after a rain event. So, yes, sir. And to answer your question, Commissioner, we are working, Mr. Arredondo's working to get that finalized. So the procedure is going to be to take to the advisory board, have them recommended to the Commissioner's Court for adoption. And the idea was to try to take it this month. We're going to try to have one staff level meeting, and then he'll make the presentation to the advisory board and eventually the Commissioner's Court. So we're hopeful by October at the latest, and not by the end of this month, to get these rules adopted. We're still looking at, I think he's still working through some of the issues that were brought up last time as far as the street lights and the sidewalks, not just necessarily drainage, but yes, sir. That's the goal, is to try to get it done by the end of the month or the beginning of next month. Okay. If I may, I'll move on to item 8.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Requesting approval of closing documents, parcel 14, as it relates to Cesar Chavez Drain Phase 2 project, and authority for the chairman of the board to execute documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item B, requesting approval of closing documents, parcel 24, as it relates to Cesar Chavez Drain Phase 2 project, and authority for the chairman of the board to execute documents pending final legal review.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 9, requesting approval to issue payment and award of special commissioners pertaining to condemnation proceedings for cost number CCD 0362H, parcel number 7, precinct 2, fee simple right-of-way.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And item B, approval to issue payment on 3 special commissioners' fees related to cost number CCD 0362H, as noted in item A above.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 10, application for payment number 2 in the amount of $50,627.70 from Texas Court LLC pertaining to construction contract number ACDD 117-015-04-18, precinct 1, mile 13.5 North Road, and FM 1015, area drainage improvement phase 2 and 3.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And item B, application for payment number 1 in the amount of $106,891.20 from Vencer Contractors LLC pertaining to construction contract number ACDD 117-023-0530, precinct 2, Plano Vista subdivision, unit 2, street and drainage improvements.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 11, requesting approval to utilize commercial charge card services, procurement and travel through district's membership with Texas Procurement and Support Services, awarded vendor Citibank, contract number 946-M2.
So moved. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Excuse me. Item 12, requesting authority to advertise and approval of requests for bids, packets, legal notice, specifications, draft contract, etc., as attached here to for Dow County Drainage number 1, lubricants, antifreeze, and related products. RFP ACDD 117-047-0927, including the re-advertisement of the request for bids. The event bids are rejected or no bids are received and products are still needed.
So moved.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 13, request approval to create, 13A, excuse me, request approval to create 1 hydrology and hydraulics water engineer 1 from the maintenance and operation budget and set salary of $45,923. This position is going to be an in-house position. As stated earlier, we're shifting a lot of our work to in-house. Obviously, there's still consultant work that we have, but there's a lot of data that we've gathered, especially in the last 2.5 years that have been on board, that we want to start processing, running our own internal models of our system to evaluate the capacity that we have and so forth. It's going to tie in also directly with what I mentioned to the board last meeting about looking at the FEMA issue and evaluating our system. Part of that work will be consulted out as well. So this individual will help manage that information and help create those models that are needed to better manage our system.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 13B, request approval of revised salary schedule and budget amendment to fund new position through the end of 2017, the amount of $18,244.97.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 14, request approval to create one district project coordinator for the maintenance and operation budget, set salary of $54,904. This position, we currently have a projects coordinator at the county. With the agreement that we have with the county, that individual provides a lot of the coordination efforts for all projects that we do at the district with the county, and they're also an engineer. And what I want to do is create the position and bring that person on board. That way, they're with us, and they'll still be in the same role, providing the coordination efforts and developing the specs and plans and so forth, but they'll be under the district instead of the county. And that way, all the employees that we currently have at the district, that individual is the last one that is still with the county but under our supervision, and that person will come over and that way Balde can sleep at night that we don't have anybody over there from the county at the district. So.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, requesting approval of revised salary schedule and budget amendment to the fund new position through the end of 2017, the amount of $21,502.92.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Requesting approval of budget amendment to transfer out $800,000 from district general fund to capital projects fund for the purchase of right-of-way and expansion of Cesar Chavez Phase 2 ditch. This project is in conjunction with the City of Alamo through interlocal cooperation agreement. It was approved by the Board of Directors October 25th, 2016.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And the last one is 16, discussion of outcome drainage District 1 upcoming budget for 2018. And I got a little ahead of myself when I started talking about that, but obviously we already stated for the record that the tax rate is going to remain the same 9.51 cents per $100 valuation. We are looking at we had a recent refunding bond sales of our bond series, and our principal interest is going to increase about $500,000 for that. We are looking right now at finalizing our numbers, maintenance and operation for the need of equipment and employees. Obviously, the district has grown. We're taking in more ditches. We're doing a lot more in-house work, a lot more improvement. So, obviously, machines get wore down a little bit more. So, we're looking at that. This is something that I have been very aggressively pursuing the last 2 years, is making sure that we invest in our equipment. We're looking at new shredders. We're looking at taking on more projects, more shredding projects. The construction methods that we're using now is going to be more in line with shredding instead of using long reach excavators and so forth. So that's kind of the direction that we're going. So obviously we need to invest in that. We're also looking at the positions that I mentioned already that were created here just now. But also we're looking at an accountant assistant position for our accounting department to help us better manage that department, get our audit numbers in place. Our target is to try to get in before June. We should have it before May, but we're trying to get it before June. You know, we actually got it in August this year, which is a great improvement from last year. Last year we were presenting in October, so we've improved 2 months. So we're hoping that the new added position, we can get it in between June and turn it over to the county. We're looking at some clerical positions as well. We are, as Ms. Bjorn has mentioned, our new building plans should be out for construction probably in the next month or so. So we're going to look at that need, and we're looking at some reclassifications that make no maintenance and operation department. And then we also have, what else? Contracting services. We had looked this at one time. We're going to revisit it for our ranch area on the eastern portion of the county, look at the possibility of contracting that shredding operation over there to kind of focus our forces more in the still rural area, but more, I guess you would call it more developed rural area, and have the contracting services do the shredding in the ranch area and so forth, or in the outskirts of our system. So that way we can focus more where there's more visible or more populated areas. As I mentioned, as has been mentioned earlier, and we're doing a lot more in-house work, so we're looking at allocating more funding for actual material, more pipe work, more box work and everything. So we're moving to put money in that as well. So that's just kind of some of the highlights that we're looking at. And next, before the next public hearing, we'll have everything presented, and I'll visit with each of you on it, just kind of the details of what we're presenting on our budget. So maybe have a one-on-one discussion on what we're proposing, and then obviously put it out for the public as well during the public hearing. So just kind of an overview of what we're looking at. So, okay.
All right, sir.
That's all I have. No executive sessions. That's it.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. At this time, we're going to be convening our regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court, posted for today, September the 5th, 2017. Present, well, I guess we do have the entire court being present. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father in heaven, you know our needs. You know there's a lot of people in need, not only here, but other places. And we ask you to give those people patience and fortitude, for it's going to be a long time. And we need your help, dear Lord, to bless those people and to bless the people that are helping, the first responders and volunteers. And we ask that you bless us all, our families, our nation, our state. Bless all the people that work together to try to make things better. We ask this in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Our consent agenda, any concerns?
We have a couple concerns. Consent agenda item 8C and 10A.
Move for approval of consent agenda. Go ahead.
And for the record, I'm sorry, Commissioner Fuentes will be abstaining from consent agenda item 9B and 9C.
Move for approval of consent agenda with the exception stated by Executive Officer Valdiguera.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Under consent agenda item 8C, I'm asking the court to approve subject to the affidavit forms received.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Ms. Marty?
Yes, on 10A, we're requesting authority to enter a 12-month subscription with online drone mapping software services with Inflatix Incorporated, DBA Drone Deploy, with authority to execute required agreement with Precinct 2 for the following requisition number. This is going to be recommended for approval subject to receipt of the Form 1295 with instruction to the staff that they cannot execute or process this requisition until the Form 1295 is received. So I do recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 5A.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Julia Sullivan with Public Affairs, and I'm joined today by representatives from the Advanced Care Center at the Doctors Hospital at Renaissance Healthcare System. You could join me this way. And I'll introduce the speaker in a little bit. But I want to introduce a very special little guest, 4-year-old Yarisa Diaz, a cancer survivor.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Yarisa.
So, item 5A is consideration and approval of a proclamation designating September as National Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. That's why so many of us are wearing yellows today as well, to commemorate that and to promote it. Whereas each year pediatric cancer interrupts the childhood and limits the potential of thousands of young Americans. It's estimated that almost 16,000 of our daughters and sons under the age of 20 will be diagnosed with cancer just this year. It remains the leading cause of disease-related death for children. And this month, in honor of these young patients, their loved ones, and all those who support them, Doctors Hospital at Renaissance Healthcare System rededicates itself to combating this devastation. And whereas critical research has led to real progress in the fight against pediatric cancer, improvements in treatment and increased participation in clinical trials have helped decrease mortality rates for many types of childhood cancer by more than 50% over the past 30 years. These gains remind us of the importance of supporting scientific advances and give us hope for a future free from cancer in all its forms. And whereas during National Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, our nation comes together to remember all of those whose lives were cut short by pediatric cancer, to recognize the loved ones who know too well the pain it causes, and to support every child and every family battling cancer. The Advanced Care Center joins with their loved ones and researchers, healthcare providers, I'm a big crybaby, and advocates who support them as they work toward a tomorrow where all children are able to pursue their full measure of happiness without the burden of cancer. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby designates September 2017 as National Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month and encourages all Hidalgo County residents to join in the national observances and in reaffirming our commitment to fighting childhood cancer. Approve this 5th day of September 2017.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And I have the honor to introduce Dr. Gerardo Lopez Mena. He's the director of the Advanced Care Center, and again with 4-year-old Yarisa Diaz and her family.
Thank you. Quickly, on behalf of Doctors Hospital at Renaissance, the Board of Managers and Administration, on behalf of our 650 physicians and over 4,800 employees, but more importantly on behalf of patients like Yarisa Diaz, little giants like herself who give us the motivation to keep doing the research that we do in a historically underserved and under-researched community. We want to continue working hard for patients like her. So thank you for drawing attention to an important matter, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yasira, would you like to say something, sweetie? You don't have to, but if you want to. It's okay. Thank you. It's okay. So the commissioners will stand in the center, and if you all can stand on either side of them, that's what I appreciate it.
Dr. Michael, good to see you.
And Ivana here will direct you in case you need to move. Can you see everybody? Do you need me to move this?
Yes, I see everybody.
Okay.
On the count of 3, please. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Take 2 more.
We've got some family members. Oh, sure. Come on up. I like your T-shirt, Yarisa.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Just please stand to either side. You're blocking.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll move a little bit more right there. There we go.
Grab one, mommy.
One, two, three.
Oh, I'm going to get
Okay. One, two, three. Smile, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for all you do.
Doctor, thanks for being here.
You were shy this morning.
Good job, Yarisa. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Item 5B. Is Mike Leo?
Sir. Michael Leo, County Judge's Office. 5B is discussion and approval of the certificate of formation for the Hidalgo County Regional Foreign Trade Zone. Earlier this year, we came before the court for a status update on discussions regarding the newly proposed foreign trade zone. Now, you know, McAllen has theirs, and they expanded their coverage, so some of the cities here got together to propose expanding on the Weslaco Foreign Trade Zone and transferring that designation to this new entity called the Hidalgo County Foreign Trade Zone. The idea would be for the cities of FAR, Edinburgh, Donna, and Weslaco, together with the county, to have a zone that they could utilize as another economic development tool. Every entity would have a seat on the table, and the county was asked to administer the program as it got off the ground. The cities involved have agreed to reimburse the county any costs associated. The court gave us, at the time, the court gave us a consensus to move forward. We've been working with the cities and their legals, and what we have before you today are the proposed documents to create the entity. I would note that the auditors has brought up a question as to the authority to operate as a foreign trade zone. Currently, this newly formed entity has not been granted the FTZ designation. Weslaco has that designation. But once the entity is created, then they can petition the federal government to transfer their designation to this newly created entity. But they can't ask the zone to be transferred to an entity that doesn't exist. Also, the group will work with the state delegates to ensure that this new entity is listed in the Business and Commerce Code for Texas, which is a legal requirement. So what legal has done is they have proposed an order to go with the documents that states, and I'll read it verbatim, the county's provision of management services pursuant to the delegation in the bylaws will not commence until after all the appropriate authorizations have been obtained and are in effect, and until membership dues have been determined by the Board of Directors and approved by the county. So it still has to come back. Until that transfer happens, the county will be working in preparation of it, but we will not assume the role. So some of the cities have already moved forward with adoption of these, so now it's before the county for your consideration.
Michael, I know there was a public participation form signed on this item. Fern McClarty had signed up for item 5B1.
My question on this was, who is going to be on this board? We're always concerned that they seem to be the same people, and I'm wondering if some of the ones that are RMA and things like that are going to be on this board also. We kind of get concerned about how y'all stack the deck.
Okay. And I can address that. The way it was set up is because the cities kind of talk, okay, who is going to be appointed to the board? It's done by title. Each city, their mayor will be on the board. For the county, it's the county judge. And the city of Weslaco, because it is their zone, they ask for an additional seat. So they have a second seat on that board, and the council would determine who that person is. And I believe the city of Weslaco already appointed one of the councilwomen, Letty Lopez, I believe. But basically, it's the mayor, the judge, and a council to be appointed by the city of Weslaco. And again, the reasoning behind that was just to get equal representation from each city and the county.
Okay, you need action. Move for approval of 5B1.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. 5B2 is in conjunction with that, discussion and approval of the bylaws for the Hidalgo County Regional Foreign Trade Zone.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 6, our DA's office.
Good morning, Commissioners. Judge Rosalinda Cantu presenting for the District Attorney's Office. Item 6A, District Attorney's Office Victim Assistance Program Grant Fund 1281. Approval to submit a VAP grant number 2924301. Budget adjustment to the Office of the Governor.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
6B, the DA's Victim Coordinator and Liaison Grant Fund 1281. Approval and authorization for County Judge to sign the inventory report form.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 7A, Constable Precinct 3.
Judge, Commissioners, Chief Gonzalez for Precinct 3 Constable's Office. Today we have Constable Precinct 3 Rifle Resistant Body Armor Grant, Program 1284.
Move for approval.
Second.
Authorization and approval to apply for the Rifle Resistant Body Armor Grant with the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division, CGI, through E-Grants.
We've had a motion and a second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Authorization for the county judge as an authorizing official to sign forms and related documents through E-Grants.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 8, our Executive Office. We can skip it and come back to it.
Yes.
We'll move on to item number 9A. HR.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Carlos Figueroa, Executive Office, presenting for HR. Item 9A, we do have a personnel item, so I'm going to request a waiver of the budget amendment policy for personnel-related amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 9B is an item, a personnel item in the County Judge's Office, the Public Affairs Division. It's approval of the following personnel actions effective next full pay period. Due to workload issues, the Judge's Office, Public Affairs is asking to delete one slot number 0028, Executive Assistant 3 at a salary of $59,727, and to create additional, to create two positions in lieu of that one for that extra help, and that would be to create slot 005, Clerk 4, at a salary of $30,787, and slot 006, an Administrative Assistant 2, at a salary of $28,940. The total amount of those two positions equals the 59, so it's a wash.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 9C, this is for Precinct 2 Parks. This is approval to correct the hourly rate of one part-time temporary attendant position at the pool, slot number 122008, T051, from $12 to $14 an hour. This is just a correction on the item that was presented to court. The employee has been getting paid the correct salary of $14 an hour. We just need to correct that for the record.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's all I have, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 10, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning.
Theo Ravila with Urban County.
Morning, Mr. Ivey.
I have item 10A, is to hold a public hearing to consider public comments for the Hidalgo County Precinct 2's proposed budget and program amendment for fiscal years 28 and 29.
At this time, we're going to be convening a public hearing to consider those public comments for Hidalgo County Precinct 2's proposed budget and program amendment for fiscal years 28 and 29, 2015 and 2016. Does anyone desire to make any comments? All right. This time, with no one expressing an interest, we're going to close a public hearing. Move on to item 10A2.
10A2 is requesting approval of a budget and program amendment for Hidalgo County Precinct Number 2, fiscal years 28-29, 2015-2016 years. The amendment will delete the rehab single-unit residential fiscal year 2015, the street improvements project fiscal year 2016, and increase the other public facilities and improvements San Juan Youth Center line item.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 10B is also hold a public hearing of the draft regional assessment of fair housing plan, which relates to the protected classes.
At this time, we're going to be convening a public hearing of the draft regional assessment of fair housing plan. Can you give the public a general idea of what that's about?
Yes, sir. I have Mr. Steve de la Garza from our office and Ms. Yvette from the city of McAllen that they're working together on this draft to go ahead and explain that.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
The assessment of fair housing is an attempt to review actions, policies, procedures, and barriers to affordable housing for members of protected classes. As you may recall, the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and its subsequent amendments provide overarching protections for persons regardless of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, and disability. So the Hidalgo County gathered with 18 other organizations that receive HUD funding, and we had to follow this requirement that HUD says that you've got to do assessment of fair housing. So this assessment that we're doing and we're putting out for public comment it relates to protected class groups.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, having heard on this matter, is there anyone who desires to make any comments? If not, we're going to be closing our public hearing and proceeding to item number 10C.
Item 10C, Judge, we would like to go ahead and table for next week.
No action, Judge. No action on
No
10C.
Thank you.
We're going to go back to item number 9, I believe. 9, number 8.
Yes, item 8. My apologies, I was outside with Mr. Singh. Under item 8A, there's no action. Under 8A1, 8A2, emergency situations current since last agenda meeting. There was some more activity after our last emergency update from last week with respect to Hurricane Harvey. There were additional resources requested and provided by the County of Hidalgo. Commissioner Palacio and his office taking the lead with respect to the request going, as well as Chief Saldana, our emergency management coordinator. Commissioner?
Yeah, just a brief. So we departed last week with the city of McAllen. There was over 100 individuals that were there primarily to restore water, sewer, traffic lights, debris removal, everything and anything that the community of Ingleside had, as well as Port Aransas and some of the neighboring areas around there. When dispatched, they were running schedules from 5 a.m. all the way to about 7 p.m. There was a curfew, so our crews were buttoned. Once they got into their site, staging site, they were there until the next morning. We came back yesterday. We got here about 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. They finished 100% of all the debris removal. All the crews, even the city of McAllen, were redispatched home. So we are all home now, awaiting any other aid that's going to be requested. So they're resting. It was a tough dispatch for them because they were sleeping on site. A lot of them were intense. But I want to thank the city of McAllen and the health department as well. Very prepared. They took care of our guys very well as all the crews that were out there, fed them. The community of Ingleside was eternally grateful for the response. They've never seen a response of such. So it was extremely impressive. So we'll continue to remain available if needed, and I'm certain that I know all the other precincts were prepared to respond. At this point, we've completed what the task was on hand. But I want to thank all those that responded. It was an amazing thing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good job. And just in closing, as Commissioner did say, we were in communication with every precinct, precinct 1, 2, and 3. Again, all the precincts were prepared. And to wrap up, we mentioned that this was an excellent dry run for us down here. Unfortunately, the storm did land. Did not land here, but it was an excellent dry run for us here, and we are more than prepared if we have such an occurrence come our way. Item 8B, Judge Commissioners' request for the use of the courthouse grounds for prayer rally on Saturday, September 30th, 2017 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. by the Edinburgh Pro-Life Committee, and they're asking for permission to use the grounds. Everything is in order.
Motion approved. Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And at item 8C, I'm asking the court to accept the settlement check from TML, which is the Texas Municipal League, in the amount of $3,545, and this will settle an auto accident claim.
So approved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, with your permission, I'm requesting if we could go to item 19, which is closed session. I do need to talk to the court in closed session.
Can we take care of all items in executive? I know we have others awaiting.
Yes.
Okay.
Need a motion to proceed to executive session?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're going to be in executive session for a short while. All right, we are back in open session. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Under open session, item 21, there's no action to be taken under item 21A. 21D, pending and or potential litigation, there's no action to be taken. I'm going to skip just real quickly to 21D, claim of Frontier Communications in Texas. Judge, Commissioners, I'm asking for settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $976.70.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
In item 21C, potential litigation related to possible causes of action against drug manufacturers and or distributors of opiates. Judge, Commissioners, I'm going to refer to item 20A, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under the Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4, a professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. Yes, sir. We will have, for the record, Commissioner Fuentes will be abstaining from...
Maybe.
I'm sorry?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe.
Let me go ahead and
no, he would be abstaining.
No. It all depends on how the vote comes out.
No, because he's not participating in the
Well, he can,
item.
for safety's sake, go ahead and abstain from the exemption and
I think you're correct.
Right.
No.
So, again, for the record, Commissioner Fuentes is abstaining from 20A. Yes. So I'm asking the court requesting exemption again from the competitive bidding requirements of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4, a professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And item 20B then would be requesting the court action with respect to the engagement of a firm.
Well, it's actually various firms working together on this issue. It's the Gallagher Law Firm of Houston, Watson Guerra Firm out of San Antonio, Tom Fivic, Lebron, and Copeland and Briggs out of Houston. Juan Hinojosa out of McAllen, and Simmons, Hanley, and Conroy LLC out of, I believe, Chicago. And those will be the firms that we're going to be acting on.
So is that the recommendation of the court, or that's the recommendation, Judge?
Well, that is a recommendation that I would be making, and that we need a motion to approve if it's going to be accepted.
So if that recommendation is accepted, then the action would be for the engagement of that group that the judge has mentioned for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation, as well as authority to submit the letter of engagement. Again, everything would be subject to compliance with House Bill 1295. And again, this is specific to the item open session 21C, potential litigation related to possible causes of action against drug manufacturers and or distributors of opiates.
Do you need action, Judge?
The judge made a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
With one abstention.
And with one abstention, yes. So we have 20A and B. For the record, Commissioner Fuentes has abstained.
We might act and authorize the county judge to execute the contract.
That would be then that would be an amendment to the original motion.
Or just a new motion.
Oh, new motion. Okay, which is related to 21C. Yes.
Yeah, that way we can get it done this morning.
Do we have to get rid of the other one or no?
No, just a new motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And for the record, with respect to that motion and action related to 21C, Commissioner Fuentes had no participation and did not act on it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll fix this up.
What, one? You're going to be representing us in this issue. Look forward to working with you. Anything else under open session?
No, sir. I don't have anything else under open session. We left off.
We'll get back with you, Juan, on the contract. But you've been employed. You and the other members of your group have been employed to represent the county in this opioid litigation.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for your confidence and faith in our experience and skills to litigate this type of issue. As we all know, opioids is now a huge crisis that we face, not only here in our state, but nationwide. We have 150 people die every day because of abuse of opioids, and we will represent the county well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving back to item number 11, our health department.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Item 11A, we're requesting approval of an amendment to a memorandum of agreement between the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston and the County of Hidalgo.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
11B, Health Department's approval of an alarm permit application from the City of FAR's Police Department with authority for executive officer or authorized official to sign.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
11C, Healthcare Funding District, there'll be no action unless you have any questions.
No, ma'am.
And 11D, also no action unless you have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 12, our elections office.
Good morning, Melanie with the Elections Department. On 12A, there's no action. On 12B, agenda item 61297, 1, approval of 2017 certification of revenues by the county auditor for 2016 Chapter 19 funds.
So move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And 2, the approval of 2017 appropriation of funds for Chapter 19 funds, account 1283, in the amount of $19,189.75.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 13, our auditor's office.
Good morning, Linda Fung for the County Auditor's Office. Item 13A, approval of 2017 certification of new sources of revenues. We're certifying for the 2017 year $311,293.37 for the general fund. An additional
What fund?
general.
Okay.
$218,287.56 for special revenue funds, various special revenue funds. $272,165.71 for debt service funds, and $479,122.57 for proprietary funds, mainly the jail commissary.
This is for 2017.
Yes, this is.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, the presentation of the 2018 Statement of Estimated Available Resources. These numbers also have already been shared with the Budget Office, and so they're already included in the presentation that will be made later during the budget workshop. The estimated available resources include both projected ending fund balances for year 2017 and revenue projections for year 2018. For the general fund, the 2017 projected ending unassigned fund balance is $27,969,027. This amount includes $311,293.37 of new sources, which is the amount that you just approved earlier. If these revenues are appropriated, projected ending unassigned fund balance will decrease to $27,657,734. The 2017 projected ending unassigned fund balance for the general fund represents 14% of currently appropriated expenditures and transfers out. If you recall, your policy is from 10 to 15%. Estimated revenues for year 2018 for the general fund, excluding property taxes and other financing sources, are $30,393,282, which represents a $612,000 increase compared to last year's projections. In addition, we left the estimated collection rate at 95%, which is the same as the prior year and actually the prior year before that. If the county adopts a 58-cent tax rate for year 2018, total revenues for the general fund are estimated to be $200,700,595.
No action needed?
Yes, if you can please approve.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 13B, discussion, consideration, and approval for the County Auditor's Office to conduct an audit of the Chapter 59 Asset Forfeiture Report prepared by the Hidalgo County District Attorney's Office for fiscal year 2017 pursuant to the Chapter 59 Asset Forfeiture Report requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. This time, we're going to be taking a recess of our County Commissioners Court meeting and convening our budget workshop, which has been posted for 11 a.m. this morning. The entire court being present, we have a quorum to conduct and convene and conduct our workshop. However, I'm going to be recessing that workshop and moving back on to our regular County Commissioners Court meeting so that we can proceed to finish at that meeting. Okay, item number 14, precinct number 2.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Item 14A, receipt, review, and approval of closing documents of Parcel 2, Part 1 and 2 for Precinct 2 Las Milpas Bridge Replacement Project with authority for the county judge and/or the executive officer to sign closing documents.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Item 14B, request and approval of an amended and restated interlocal cooperation agreement between the County of Hidalgo and the Hidalgo County Housing Authority concerning the lease of property commonly known as the Palmer Pavilion.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Item 14C, we're requesting approval to submit a conditional use permit application to the City of McAllen for the Precinct 2 Palmer Pavilion renovation project with authority for the county judge to sign the application documents.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 14C2, requesting approval of payment for the conditional use permit application fee in the amount of $500 to the City of McAllen with authority for the county treasurer to issue check after review, audit, and processing procedures have been completed by the county auditor.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 14D, receipt, review, and approval of closing documents for Parcel 1, Part 1 and 2 for the Precinct 2 Las Milpas Bridge Replacement Project with authority for the county judge and/or executive officer to sign closing documents.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 15, Precinct 4.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Item
Morning,
15A, requesting approval of Second Amendment to Interlocal Cooperation Agreement between Hidalgo County and Edinburgh Consolidated Independent School District, Brewster Park, extending completion date to August 31, 2018.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 16A, our Budget Office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners, Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget and Management. Item 16A is discussion, consideration, and approval to set the fiscal year 2018 health insurance plan premiums. Judge, Commissioners, we had presented last week, myself and Mr. Looney, our insurance consultant, our proposed increases of 8% across the board for all tiers. That will yield the premiums needed to be able to fund the estimated claims and administrative cost of the health insurance fund for the next fiscal year as determined by the actuarial firm. Again, we're just presenting that back to court to see if the court is amenable to that premium increase. We did have a question from Commissioner Cantu regarding what would it take to subsidize the other tiers so that there wouldn't be any impact to any of the employees. Again, that total cost was roughly about $335,000, which would mean in order for us not to have any type of increase for any of the employees, we would just basically do an across-the-board increase for the basic and the buy-up of $50 per tier, and there would be no changes on any of the retiree premiums, and that would basically leave there be no increase in any of the out-of-pocket costs for the premiums for the employees if we were to do it that way. I don't know if the court wants to take a look at those
I guess
premiums.
I wanted the court just to see that number so that, we're not doing COLAs this year or anything like that. So to not have the employee have an increased cost, just to see what it would cost to be able to keep it the same, where they're not paying anything additional.
So I guess my follow-up question to that, Commissioner, and to Sergio really would be, is there an inequitable distribution of money to employees because they're on different plans or different tiers within the plan?
Basically, the county pays for the employee only, the basic employee only, and that's basically what the county contributes to each of the plans. Again, the employees then cover any cost above that if they were to go into the buy-up or if they were to include any dependents.
But I guess with respect to what you have proposed in the budget, and I'm looking at your page 2 on that proposed budget on the workshop, that it doesn't necessarily indicate what that change would be for the individual employee, but on all the other tiers there are different amounts. $6.50, $28.50, $13.37, and then what you just gave us, there's no increase at all.
Correct. On the one that I just gave you, there'd be no increase at all because basically we would be increasing all of them by $50. So the county contribution would go up by $50 and would cover any increase that's affected to the other.
Yes.
Correct.
And any surplus would just be going to the
correct.
reserves.
Of course, that would cost an additional $335,000 to the general fund, which we would then need to basically shave off of some of the other line items that we have within the budget.
Have you considered that there might be increased participation at other levels if you're going to do that?
as far as if we do
Say somebody changes from an employee with child to family, and there's going to be a more significant change. You're assuming that all the participation stays the same and everybody just re-enrolls at the same level
Correct.
that they're at now. If they up
Basically, the assumptions that we have right now are going to be that if we do the increase, people would could possibly change from the buy-up to the basic plan, which is what we saw last year when we did the increases to that plan. We don't really anticipate that there would be a big shift either way as far as people going from the basic up to the buy-up because of the premiums, and as far as going from employee-only to employee and family, that probably the premiums the changes are not that significant that we would anticipate a lot of change. It's going to be basically whatever circumstance within the individual household.
So we're talking about funding the increase, not the premium, and that's that
Exactly.
change in the
Yeah,
premium is
that's a
going to be big difference.
Yes.
Is there a way to fit that budget into the budget, that 300 and some odd thousand?
If we were to do that, we would basically have to our recommendation would be to reduce some of the increases that we're looking as far as on the budget. In the budget workshop, I did include that we're increasing room and board by $300,000. We would be increasing public defense by $300,000, jail out of county housing by $300,000. So basically, we would recommend that we would reduce some of those funding budget increases, reduce them down, and then possibly also we do have some personnel adjustments, additional personnel that we're recommending to the court. We can possibly reduce some of those recommendations as well to cover that 330.
But on public defense and the jail, we have no choice.
Correct. Basically, what we would be basically underfunding those line items again this year, and then making those up during the course of the year as we have sweeps and vacancies within personnel within departments.
So it'd be 324,000.
Roughly about 335,000.
You
Yes.
get 100,000 from each one of those departments for right now, and then 24,000 from somewhere else would be good or not?
What's our average
Correct.
sweep per quarter?
Per quarter is roughly about $1 million, 800 to 900,000.
So the money's there.
We anticipate that we would sweep anywhere between $4 to $5 million.
And you're getting that from some of the things like the freezes and some of the initiatives that
Correct.
we have.
Again, we still do recommend to the court that we keep the 90-day rolling freeze, which is something that we've been administering through the executive office, that they've been doing that for county departments, and we request that of elected officials as well.
But that attributes pretty much what your sweeps
Correct.
are.
That's basically the reason.
Well, I'm with Commissioner Cantu in that I would support that if you were to propose something like that, if you could go back and just try to find some places where we can possibly cut for now until the sweeps occur and we can refund, you're saying underfund.
Yes.
Some of them, but knowing full well that we'll be able to fund them eventually, I would like to see that where we could fund that for the employees if we're not going to do
And
an
to
adjustment.
tell you the truth, I didn't know what the number was going to be. But when I saw 334, I thought it was very doable so that the employees don't feel that difference.
I'm in favor of that.
So, I'm in favor of that too, just because the employees are not going to get any cost of living.
Exactly.
That's right.
It is a cheaper than the cost of living adjustment, but nonetheless, we don't want to impact them negatively.
Yeah.
So you need motion on that?
Well, if we do have the motion, then it would be basically a $50 increase to the basic and the buy-up, and then basically the retiree under 65 and 65 and over would remain the same as 2017 rates.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And I'll give this to Ms. Salinas so that she can give it to the county clerks and put it on the record. Moving over to item 16B is discussion, consideration, and action on the recommendation by the Grievance Committee regarding the proposed 2018 salaries for the 4 aggrieved justices of the peace as per section 152.016. Judge, Commissioners, we did have a grievance by 4 justices of the peace, and the Grievance Committee did recommend a salary adjustment of $2,600 for each JP, and basically for a total salary of $85,000 for the JPs.
Can you repeat those names?
Yes.
Like you did here last
It was
week?
for Judge Roberto Contreras, Judge Gilbert Sainz, Judge Jesus Morales, and Judge Charlie Espinosa.
They're all from precincts?
Precinct 1, Place 1 and Place 2. Precinct 2, I believe, Place 1, and Precinct 4, Place 1. And just, this is a...
So because it was just them individually, this action would really just be for them, right?
What's involved in making it all, bringing period to all of them?
What was that question, Judge?
I mean, we don't want to come out, at least I don't think it'd be right to establish a policy where we're going to be, in effect, punishing the ones that don't complain.
Basically, since the court already gave the proposed salaries for those, then court would need to propose a new salary for the other JPs. And then we would have to go through the whole process again. Possibly we may not have time to.
Talking about the same positions, I mean, I don't think it's fair to pay some individual in that position more than another individual in that very same position.
We've had that done before, Judge. Before, when I believe 3 years ago, we had the same situation. A certain number of JPs aggrieved. They were awarded the increase, and then we had that disparity. The following year, then the court.
But why can't we just go ahead and get a total, divide it by all the JPs, and give everybody, say, $800 or $1,000 instead of $2,some $100 per employee?
Again, the court can recommend another proposed salary. However, you still need to act on this one, whether you agree with this or not, and then we would again be subject again to the grievance process. They can grieve again. And we can go through this whole exercise again.
So really, these are the only 4 elected officials countywide?
Correct.
That
filed a grievance.
I don't know if that's a word. Right. That have filed a grievance.
That is a word.
Grieved.
Yeah.
Ms. McClure.
She signed up for.
This happened some years ago, as he said. We had, matter of fact, one of the JPs is no longer a JP. These are assuming that these will come. They didn't like what they had, so they went in front of the grievance board, and everybody said, oh, yeah, you're really doing hard work. I personally, the Owls have with JP out of Precinct 1, that we had a dead body. I had to call the commissioner, which at that time was Quintanilla, and ask him to get the JP to come out there and certify that the body was dead. So I don't understand why these people assume that they need more when they're not doing their job as it is. Not all of them, don't get me wrong, but they are assuming that these 4, and what they did 3 or 4 years ago was that they came, they got the grievance, they got the $3,000 to $5,000, whatever it was at that time, and then, of course, y'all, just like you said, why should a handful be paid more than the others? So then, of course, everybody. So that's why they all didn't show up. It doesn't take all of them. It just takes a few for y'all to say, oh, well, we've got to pay them all. And our question is, why aren't they, why doesn't everyone hit the grievance board when y'all don't give them enough money? The deputies, everyone that's in this room, why don't they hit that when they don't feel like that you're giving them enough? We, the taxpayers, know what their trick is. Like I said, there are few come in, y'all give it to them, and then the rest of them will get it in a few weeks. So, like I say, I hope that y'all will stop this, because, I mean, going in front of the grievance when the county is telling you what you can be paid, and I don't know if they got a raise or whatever, but why would these get, and all the other ones that work for the county are not getting a raise also? Thank you.
Senator, can you explain why, I mean, that process with respect to all the elected officials are given notice, correct? And they have
Correct.
a right to grieve?
They have a right to grieve.
So these gentlemen-
By statute, they do have a right to grieve. Basically, court proposes the salary for the next fiscal year, and then they have 5 days to file a grievance, and then the county has 10 days to have a public hearing if anybody does file a grievance.
So that incident that we're talking about, that was back in Mr. Quintanilla, Commissioner Quintanilla's day. That was probably 5, 6 years ago. That was some time back. If they're requesting it and that is what they believe is correct, I'm not opposed to it, but I would like to see some equity with respect to how the other.
I think the only way to
officials-
get there will be probably just so that we're not, skewing this wrong here. I believe, they have a right to grieve. I think when you take just 4 out of the bunch, I think we need to find a better equitable plan to all of them, and not just limit them to the 4. And I think from what I'm hearing, we'd have to deny this one to go back to a grievance to find out whether or not we can get to that point. Is that correct, Judge?
If we deny it, they don't get it.
No, but it starts another grievance process to be able to find.
only if the court then proposes a
If we do
new.
something different, for example,
Then
it
we
was
need to give 'em-
proposed by Commissioner Flores. He said, take that total number of the raises and divide it by 8 or whatever number we have with JP, and pay them accordingly. That would make it a lesser amount than what was recommended. And because it's a lesser amount, it triggers another round at the grievance procedure.
The only issue I have is in the hope that we're advocating for step and grade. When we get into these grievance process, I know that it's a different process for elected officials. It starts skewing things off a bit. So I always advocate a more fair, equitable plan to all. And so if we can advocate for that's what I'm advocating, to figure out how we can make
I agree with you.
fair all the way around.
I agree, but the only issue that I have here is these people actually went through the process, and that they asked for consideration of that. And if we're going to deliver that message that we don't support that, this is the process that they're supposed to go through, and half of them decided to do it, and half of them didn't. So I'm okay with saying let's treat everybody equitably and fairly. I think that's correct. But there's something we said for, standing up and going through the process also.
Yeah.
But we got to be. We could take care of this next year and take care of more people. We didn't consider a COLA this year because we held tight. We dropped, our tax rate $0.01, which we'll continue to do. So why can't we just take care of everybody, elected officials and county employees, all together next year?
And see, that's where I stand. Regardless of the grievance process,
That's not my only concern, because we talked to Head Start a little bit about that, and because we try to do everybody together, not one department over another. And I respect these people for doing that, and this has nothing to do with whether they're doing their job or not. We as a commission have to consider everybody that works at the county, and so that's my concern.
And that's where I stand. I think we advocated to where, obviously every employee would like to have an adjustment. I like the fact that we gave back to the taxpayer by reducing the tax rate. But I hope for a more fair, equitable plan. I was looking at next year as a potential chance of an adjustment to all and see where that takes us. But I have a hard time. And again, I got the deepest respect for all of them and even the process of those that were on the board. But it's a difficult situation.
And next year, maybe we'll be able to do something without anybody having to grieve.
Yeah.
Again, the vote was 7 members of the committee voted in favor of it. There was 2 missing, so it's only 7 of the 9. So it is a recommendation to the court.
As opposed to a mandate.
Correct.
Out of all the elected officials, these were the only 4.
Those were the only 4 that agreed. Yes.
I understand that these elected officials don't sit here on the board, and they're not responsible for lowering the taxes and keeping the budget in place. That's all I can say.
And if that's the wish of the board, and the commission, then I respect that as well. But I do want to acknowledge that these gentlemen went through the process, and if it doesn't go through, with all due respect, I appreciate all the work that they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
I agree with you.
So is there a motion on either?
To deny it or what?
You don't need a motion to deny, do you?
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
you have recommendation agreement.
That's my motion to deny this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Appears to be unanimously.
I'm going to vote against them, just because I have two people from my precinct, and I just feel like I need to represent their request.
It's 4-1.
Thank you.
To deny.
Another thing I want to mention, that they can go back and maybe we can look at the budget. And like I said, Judge, I mean, total everything together, 26 times 4, and then divided by the amount of JPs, and maybe everybody can get a...
Why not look at that on
amount?
the incoming year, where we've done it with the sheriff, where we've reconsidered down in the year.
Elected official salaries are just set once a year. There has to be a public hearing,
Yeah.
and then if there's any increases to elected official salary, that also has to be published in the newspaper of
So it
general
can't be- it
circulation.
can't be done.
So it can't be. There's only this one time during the year that it can be done during the budget.
Yeah.
Well, surely
During
we
the
can
setting of
start
the budget.
working on the process for next year to find a
Yes.
better equitable plan to bring them all up, as opposed.
That's what we're going to be working on for this
Yeah.
next 12 months, is to do that for everybody.
Item 16C, C1 is authorization.
I'd like to make a comment on this procedure that we're following. The statute allows another method. Presently, we have, it's a 9-member grievance committee, and the judge doesn't vote. He only presides, but I guess it's given me an opportunity every year to see the way that the system works. And I would like to propose that instead of having elected officials sit on this committee, that we make it a total citizen group, and all 9 members be selected from the public at large.
Can that be done, Steve?
I need to check that because the statute's fairly specific about who's on the grievance committee.
No, it's not.
It does allow, and we used to do that previously. However, for this year, I don't think we have the sufficient
I'm not proposing
time.
it for this year, it's already gone through, but for next year,
I'll look at that, Judge.
May I proceed, Judge?
go ahead.
Item 16C1 is authorization and approval to apply for the fiscal year 2017 Edward Burns Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program with the U.S. Department of Justice.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 16C2 is a public hearing on the 2017 Edward Burns Memorial Justice Assistance Grant application strategies and narrative. Judge, Commissioners, this is a grant that the county is applying for. The total amount of the grant request is $41,800. And basically, the purpose of the grant that we're applying for this year is going to be to purchase bulletproof vests for our law enforcement. So, Judge, if you could open up the public hearing.
At this time, we're going to be convening a public hearing on the FY 2017 Edward Burns Memorial Justice Assistance Grant application. Is there anyone here that desires to make any comments, one way or the other? At this time, we're going to close the public hearing and
Item 16C3 is discussion, consideration, review, and approval of the program applications, strategies, narrative for the Edward Burns Grant. Again, Judge, Commissioners, we're requesting a total of $41,800 for this grant for the purchase of 60 bulletproof vests for the law enforcement officers of Hidalgo County. If I could have approval of that, the program narrative.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 16C4 is authorization for the county judge to sign the required documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, item 16D, 1 through 5, is discussion, consideration, and approval of the streetlight installation agreements with Magic Valley or AEP, as denoted on the agenda, for the following subdivisions: Wisashi Acres number 9, Sioux Estates number 2, Sahara Estates, Eduardo's number 7, and Polmex. If we could have approval of those installation agreements.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 16D6 is discussion, consideration, and approval of an order authorizing the establishment of streetlights along county roads located in Plena Vista.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 16E, 1A and B, is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor in relation to insurance settlement proceeds and appropriation of those funds into the general litigation account in the amount of $154,727.90.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 16E2, A and B, is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor in relation to insurance settlement proceeds and appropriation of those funds into the general litigation account in the amount of $30,827.10.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Item 17, our purchasing.
Yes, 17A1, presentation of the bids received for the purpose of award to the responsible vendor submitting the lowest and best bid. That's the purchase of concrete mix and delivery services. 5 packets distributed, 2 bids received. We recommend Magic Valley Concrete.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B1, Precinct 3, acceptance and approval to execute the final form of professional surveying agreement with ROW Surveying Services, LLC. This is for road and bridge, CIP, and other projects in general on an as-needed basis. This is subject to final receipt of legal's approval. There was one item missing. I believe we have forwarded that, but we're waiting the response.
So you need action on it anyways?
Yes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C1, Precinct 4, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 262, 024A4, a professional service, so as to document the actual exemption. From last week, we left it out.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
And item B would be acceptance and approval of the professional services agreement with B2Z Engineering Services, Road and Bridge, CIP, and other projects in general for Precinct 4.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
D1 is acceptance and approval of professional services agreement under the sole source declaration of July of 17 as required by Tyler Technologies DBA Development in the amount of $3,480.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
E1, presentation of the bids received for the purposes of award for Health and Human Services Department. The vendor is ADAPCO, submitting the lowest and best bid, meeting all specifications and requirements, and approval of the contract, and this is for mosquito control chemicals, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F1, facilities management, presentation of the vendor submitting the best and lowest bid, Macklemore Building Maintenance for award and approval of contract. This is for custodial services for the Hidalgo County-owned building, new administration building, the corner of South 281 and Canton.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Budget and management, presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court. This is for the wellness program. In order to proceed with the negotiation process, you had Aetna scoring at 25.3, professionalized prevention at 95.6. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Who was the rank first?
It was, I think it was DA's office. No, I'm sorry. Who was it?
The numbers way off, right?
Oh, that's not for this one.
No, that was Ms. Flora Vasquez from my office, Angelica Tapia,
Oh,
and
that's
Ms.
right.
Mari
And the judge's
Lubreda from the
office.
judge's office.
Yes.
And we did have a letter of recommendation also from Mr. Looney, our insurance consultant, that was provided to the graders as well.
All right. Move for
After
approval.
they evaluated.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And B is authority for purchasing to negotiate the professional services agreement, commencing with the number 1 ranked.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item, the last item is H, it's countywide, H1, presentation of the responsible vendor, Stericycle Incorporated submitting the lowest and best bid. This is for the biohazardous waste disposal services and/or medical waste for Hidalgo County.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Under open forum, did anyone sign up? First presenter is Fern McLarity.
Well, the only question I have was on 16D. We didn't quite understand why this was on the lighting and stuff in the subdivisions, and I did talk to Precinct 4 because that was my question. So now we're paying the poles to put in the lights. We knew it was going to happen. So are you going to make sure that the other subdivisions, because supposedly this one only had the utilities in the very back, so when they're going to build or allow a developer to develop or whatever, are you going to make sure that they have their poles throughout the whole subdivision, the colonia there, so that the taxpayers don't have to pay big bucks for telephone poles to put the lights on? Is our question. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Virginia Townsend.
I guess more than Virginia Townsend from Precinct 3, I guess more than anything else, I get asked why I'm still over here and care. And I keep telling people I believe things are getting better. I believe in you guys. I believe that things get better. And then I get told, are you joking? It's all politics. Don't you see it? They only do what's politically right for them to do. And I said, no. I think they have a bigger view than that. I think they care about the taxpayers. And I get lots of arguments from people who pay attention, read the paper and stuff, and say, no, they're making decisions that are politically correct. So I'm fighting the good fight, saying, no, I do believe that things are getting better, that we don't do everything just for political expediency. But I hope that's the way it is. I really do. Because when it's politically correct, sometimes it's not the best things for the people. I think that's a good idea to have people on the grievance committee, just regular people. And I think everybody would be fair, depending on who they have for JPs and how they see the JPs work or not. That's the way it works. People pay attention to JPs. And if they won't come out when people are dead, which happened in the case of my mother, they didn't want to come out, and they sent the police instead. That's kind of insulting. It's kind of, you don't feel right about it. But then in other cases, though, when a JP runs, he knows what his salary is going to be. And he runs and he wins and he gets the salary, and then he's not happy with it. I don't know. Something wrong with that. But to me, if you do it straight across the board, I think that would be more fair. Maybe it would stop the grievance thing, and maybe they would come together and say, well, I need more for... They also get a allowance for car, right? Travel, whatever. So do they get $84,000 plus car allowance? Wow. Anyhow. Just let the people see that the JPs are working hard, and you won't have any problem with people wanting a good salary.
14 or 15,000.
Whatever.
But I'm not sure.
Whatever.
Sergio, do you want to make
We're not supposed to respond, Judge.
No, I know.
All right. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn. We're at that point in our meeting.
No, I know.
Do I have a second?
First, second.
Well, Sergio, do you want to make a comment?
Not about that question. Not responding to the question.
Okay, Steve, stop it.
No, but we do have a budget workshop.
Okay. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.